man, can we talk about blended family for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, it's lines in there. Like I don't know if you was talking about domestic violence. It sounded like you was talking about it a little bit.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like being a kid, being a young dude, sticking up for mom,
Yeah.
trying to fight her dude,
Yeah.
and like your heart is in the right place. But shit, I can't even do nothing. I can't do nothing with this nigga. I
Yeah.
probably can't even fight for real
Yeah.
like that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But here you are trying to protect your mother,
Mm-hmm.
but you really there's nothing that you can do.
Right.
And I know what that feels like. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Viscerally being a little dude trying to stick up for mom. You don't like this nigga she dealing with, and you feel like, all right, you feel like your job is to protect her.
Right.
And like stuff like that can scar you.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They can traumatize you, feeling like you should have done something or could have done something, but there's nothing that you could do.
Yeah, like it's nothing, like literally nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I tried, and it wasn't. It's crazy too, because what's crazy is how much stuff we really block out and we suppress. You know what I'm saying? Because
Facts.
honestly, I forgot. I know I put it in a song, but I literally forgot about that shit until you just brought it up. But as I'm thinking about it, I remember. I remember that man pushing me down that flight of steps, like, and hitting the door. I mean, I'm chuckling out about it now, but like that ain't an experience a kid should have. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, like even with that song, I had to, I hit my mom up before I even put it out, and so, just to out of respect, like, yo, I want you to hear this song, and I need your blessing before I release it. And she was like, she said the same thing. Mav said, she was like, that's your truth,
Mm.
and I don't. There ain't too many feelings worse than like feeling hopeless or like helpless, especially as a child, when you can't help or can't show up for people like you want to, and so yeah.
How that how that situation specifically you think impact you just over the years?
Maybe it's something I need to unpack more because maybe I'm sure it's more subconscious than anything.
Okay.
I've never really. I want to say I never dwelled on it, but yeah, like it wasn't because I think I was so young at the time. It was one of those things where you look back in retrospect, like, oh, yo, like that shouldn't have happened. Like why was that even um, a circumstance that I had to deal with? But it wasn't like through my formative years, it was heavy on me, and so subconsciously, I think, I mean, there's always been a in I won't say like an idea, but a desire or a need to want to protect the women in my family.
Right. Right.
So I don't know if it stems from that or if it's more so the fact that for a long time I was the only boy in the family.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot of women around me, and so it's that's it's just it makes sense.
Well, that's why I asked, right? Because I connect with that experience. Like, we talked yesterday, and I was telling, listen, for a long time, I was the only boy with 7 sisters,
Yeah.
right? And then, like, experiencing domestic violence as a kid, I was able to really pinpoint the times where, like, I overcompensated. You know what I'm saying? What I considered, what I was thought was my manhood,
Yeah.
trying to stick up or just put myself in positions of like sticking up for a loved one, specifically mother, sister, or whatever the case may be, directly, connected to that moment.
Right.
But really, you know what I'm saying, in reality, there's nothing that I could do. There's nothing that you can do, you know what I'm saying, being a little brother trying to stop your sister from dating a nigga that it's nothing that you can do.
Nah.
You know what I'm
Nah.
saying? But it took a lot of, like I said, overcompensating over the years to
Yeah.
figure that out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So when I heard that line, you talk about hearing goosebumps, I'm like, oh shit. Somebody else experienced the same shit that, you know what I'm saying, that I lived. And like those were the gems that I really appreciated in Keys. It was stuff that you were saying that was like, oh, this this nigga know my story a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you know, like, it's just important to me to sometimes dig a little deeper. And sometimes, and when I say deeper, like, not like in the sense of it has to be heavy, but just like saying stuff like that, because like I know I ain't the only one that had to deal with in an abusive spouse, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so like, and like I said, you know, it's just crazy because that song was written
Years ago.
many years before that, but the story is still the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's still people dealing with that and going through that, especially black women.
Yeah.
You know, like statistically, like what black women have to deal with is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, when you, in your creative process, do you often find yourself like asking blessings, you know what I'm saying, from people that you may be speaking on, a situation you may be speaking on, to get their blessings before you put something out?
Yeah, it depends. I feel like that may be maybe the second time I've done that.
Okay.
Because I usually try to be
Unapologetic?
yeah, but in a tasteful way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to embarrass nobody or just put their business out there. So, you know, a lot of times if you know, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're that person, you might know.
Well, that's one of the
Yeah.
things that I struggle with, right, in this setting, in the platform of just like having a pod, right? Like, I try to be as truthful as possible,
Mm-hmm.
you know, share my truth as possible, but it's a much more intrinsic process, like in having a conversation and
Yeah.
like telling my experience, as opposed to like doing it in a song form, and kind of like, you know, you can make stuff sound it's a little bit easier on the ear.
Yeah.
As opposed
Yeah.
to it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I can pick and choose how I want to paint the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's to that point. Like, it's almost like, okay, the only way we as people can really push forward is if we're having open and honest conversations.
Yeah.
And that could be difficult because some people don't want to face the truths and what they've been through or what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, it can just be hard, especially, and I think a lot of it, like, it starts with the family. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ever try to have some like conversations with your family about, you know, past transgressions, like, you know how difficult that shit is.
Right.
Like, it ain't like, people are defensive and people are,
And they have different stories. They
Yeah.
have different experiences of how that shit
Yeah.
unfolded.
like, and sometimes people romanticize like their involvement in shit. Like, they have revisionist history and they create these own stories, and it's like, nah. Especially when I'm thinking back as like when I was a kid and shit that happened, and when I'm talking through it with my folks, I'm like, well, this is how I remember it.
Right.
And from their perspective, to your point, it's maybe totally different because, you know, they ain't seen it from your lens. But now we got to talk about that, because that might have been your intent, but all intention, good intention don't add value.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's it can be, it's something you gotta be mindful about, especially if you're a person who talks about their life and their experiences.
That's a fact.
Yeah.